So here's a view of the mechanism that I built and installed on the log splitter so that I could have an adjustable return stopper. What I wanted to do was make sure that when the ram returns, if you're only splitting 15, 16, or 17-inch logs, if the ram stops any further back than here, this is all wasted motion. So you're waiting for this ram to come forward before it ever starts to split the wood. So what I wanted to do was make a stopper so that this ram would stop retracting at anywhere along this slide. So when the ram is all the way forward, it stops right about here. So from here to here is roughly 6 inches. So if I'm making little tiny splits for smoking, I can cut pieces of wood, or I use scrap cut off pieces at the end of a log that don't quite make it to an even 16 inches. And I'll use this area right here to split those small chunks to put on smoker. So with this stopper on here, I can adjust this collar. So I welded this on here, this little extra wedge, and it just has a hole drilled in it here with a cross hole to secure this rod, which was a repurposed axle from my lawn aerator. And I put a collar on here. I got a little support back over here that goes down and is welded onto the rail. And then I had to design and build this mechanism here with the spring-loaded plunger, and then there's a 4-bolt pattern on here that it bolts to. And right now I've got a stack of washers underneath there. I'm making a nice brass spacer to go there, but because of my OCD, I made it so that it was, like 0.498. It needs to be a half an inch, or this nominal size is half an inch. I made it with just about 2/1000 clearance. Well, of course, once I painted this piece and painted this piece, the coating thickness put me over the edge, and so now I've got to narrow that spacer down a little bit, take it in and put it on the lathe, and I'll face it off and take a few thousandths off it to give me that little bit of clearance that you need in there so that this moves freely. So I think it works out pretty nice. It's going to be real good for adjusting this anywhere on the stroke, and especially for when I cut my wood. I try to cut it at 16 inches, but due to manufacturing tolerances in my cut quality, sometimes it'll bounce between here and here. I'm okay with this. 15, 16, or 17 inches. Anything over that gets cut off, and I'll use that piece to make little smoker splits down here, or I just throw it in the splintery bits tote and burn those pieces in the fire pit just for recreational burning. But other than that, I think this is looking pretty good. I got my log cradle on there. I welded some extra little teeth on here to help grip the log. It came with just these two here and here, so I added some other ones in here to give a little bit of extra grip so that the log doesn't, if the end of it's not cut square, it'll tend to deflect up or down, side to side, and this will help prevent that. Oh, I got a little slag ball right there I need to get out. Those things drive me crazy. All this stuff here, I got to get that out. Otherwise my OCD won't tolerate it. So the next part is repower. Let's go start on that one. Fill gas here, add fuel stabilizer. Well, in my book, You don't need fuel stabilizer if you use ethanol-free gas. Add engine oil below. Operating with low oil or no oil causes permanent damage and voids the warranty. Huh. Who would have ever thought that? Interesting. So, it looks to me like the way this is going to sit on the log splitter, this exhaust is going to be blasting right up against the hydraulic tank, and it's going to be chooching fumes up here to my face all the time, and I just can't have that. So I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to have to make some kind of a deflector or some little piece that's going to screw onto the exhaust, a little stack, if you will, to bring that up and shoot it back this way so it's blowing away from where I'm standing. So I'll have to figure that out. That'll be another something to look into. Or maybe I could just turn this, maybe I could just turn the muffler on there. I don't know if that's it doesn't look like it's a very symmetrical hole pattern, so that could be a problem. Let's pop this cover off here and take a look. Are you serious? There you go. And if you look here, that is not a symmetrical hole pattern here. It's not, I don't think that's going to go on there any other way than the way it was, which was just like that. So maybe I should make a plate that bolts on here and then has a different hole pattern for this. There's stuff rattling around in there. Hear that? USDA approved smoke arrestor, spark arrestor screen. We don't need that. So if that goes that way. What to do? I'll have to think about this and get back with you. It would almost appear that I need to drill these holes out to 3/8 of an inch, because these are just 5/16 bolts. I have to look at the new one and see what that all involves. That's flush with the Lovejoy coupling, flush with the end of the shaft, so that should be pretty easy to figure out. Oh, goodness. That bad boy is tight. Ow. Well, you figure that set screw probably hasn't been loose since it was first installed in 1990, I don't know, 3, 4, somewhere in there. 92, I think, is when maybe this log splitter was built. So that wasn't too bad. I'm going to take that set screw all the way out, and then I'm going to dump some coil down inside there. Let that stuff do its thing. But you haven't seen a can like that in a while, huh? That is old school. Here she comes. There it is. Oh boy, there's a problem right there. That's a problem. See the problem? She's hitting right there. And I still got, probably about another 1.5 inches to go on the bolts to get me where I need to be. So, I kind of expected that there would be some issues getting this thing to bolt up, and obviously it appears that the bolt pattern is probably okay. We're gonna have to do some stuff here to try to get that where it needs to be. Yeah, I'll have to think about this one. I'll think about it off camera, and then we'll figure out what the plan of action is, and then we'll go from there. There we go. Well, there you go. Got the pump on the motor. So now I got to figure out what I need for a bracket over there to get it to bolt up and not hit the valve cover on the tank. That'll be the next project. I had to make an adapter plate so that the engine would fit on the same mounting bracket without the valve cover hitting up here. This is a slanted cylinder orientation, whereas the other one was straight up. So I had to move it 2.5 inches away from the tank so that it wouldn't hit. And then it's still pretty good alignment with the suction port, but I do have to put a new hose on it, which I happen to have some stuff laying around that I can put on there. Had to reroute the exhaust. You can see that right there. Made a piece that goes inside the muffler itself. It projects in there about 3/4 of an inch. Turned that down on the lathe, stuck this in this pipe nipple in there, and welded around the outside, and then just attached these elbows to it to redirect the exhaust away from me. Man, this bad boy is heavy. Oh my goodness. Oh, man, he's a beast. Hopefully it runs like a beast. Okay, good deal. Now that's nice and sturdy. Oh man. Oh my goodness. Oh, that thing is tight. Wow. Wow. I have to get a bigger wrench. Oh man. That bugger was tight. I'm going to attempt to stand this whole thing up. And ooh, that's not good. Not good at all. It's that thing's kind of rounded all off. Well, I'm going to see if I got a 6-point impact socket that'll fit on that. See what we can do. Get out the Milwaukee Whopper. Try that on there. Huh. Perfect. 7/8. Come on. There we go. Well, that's not good. Need a little extension. Easy peasy. That's just an aluminum plug. No wonder the thing didn't want to come out. I'm going to have to find a new one of those. I'll probably make something. It's just a little breather, but it's got a little tiny screen or filter down inside there. So I'm going to put this plug in here, snug it up. I'm not going to go crazy getting it all sealed up and everything. I'm just going to put it on there and actually, there we go. That feels better. I'm going to try to tip this thing up this way, and then hopefully be able to get that hose off without all the oil draining out. That's the goal. All right, well, You know what they say, God hates a coward. Oh boy, that's heavy. Now, it's going to be off balance here. But just for the fun of it, oh my goodness. Oh, that ain't going to happen. But I am up this high. So maybe when I take this off, maybe I won't get too much out on the floor. But I'm going to grab a pan. Well, let's take a look here. I don't know. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. I think I'm going to have to get a... I think I'm going to need to get a straight fitting for here instead of that 45. It's gonna shoot too far up there, and then I'm gonna end up, you know, I just won't be able to make it work. So I'm gonna have to come up with a 3/4 male pipe to 1-inch hose fitting for there. I could try to get that off of there and then put a plug in that hole so it doesn't leak all over the floor. I don't like the way this filter is mounted. To me, that's the dumbest thing ever. Why would you have a filter housing like that with the element mounted upside down? It's stupid. But it appears that quite a few of them are like that, so it doesn't make it right, does it? Okay, now this one, I'm going to put a little dope on that, seal it up so it doesn't leak while I'm looking for my new fitting. Seems like every time I get just inches away from having this project done, I run into something else. Guess that's just the way it is. It will get done eventually. Okay, well, go see if I can find a part for it. Come back and fix it up. I hope I can get this to work. That's really flattened out right there. I don't like that. You notice if you cut this zip tie on this side of the head, you can pull this tail out and then reuse it. Just pull that out and you can reuse this shorter piece. Oh, come on. Making a big old mess. So I'm going to put a new hydraulic tank breather on. This is the old one right here. It has a little tiny, you can see there's a spring clip down inside there with a little filter to keep the dirt out. It's all rounded off from years of abuse and whatnot. A little tiny hole to let the air in right there. So here's the new one. I got this one. 1/2-inch NPT with a big handle on it, and it's all full of filter, some kind of filter material in there. I wonder if that's going to clear when we flip it up. Take a look. Oh yeah. Yep, that'll work. Let's give it a little partial turn just so that it doesn't vibrate out. This is going to be hard to pour in there, I think. That works much better. Got this at Farm and Fleet. Little spout thingy. Works pretty slick. You can shove that bad boy right down into the reservoir and fill her up. Manual says it takes 1 quart of oil. It's like 1 quart's a little bit much. This Harbor Freight engine has a little screen down inside the filler hole in the gas tank to catch any big chunks of whatever that might be in your fuel. This is 90 octane ethanol free gas. It's the only gas that I use in all of my outdoor power equipment, unless that power equipment uses diesel, in which case I use diesel. Well, let's see how to start this thing. Gas on, chokes over here to start. That's what I'm talking about right there, baby. I'd say that went pretty well. I think I'm going to have to do something with that suction line. Yeah. I think that's got too much of a kink in it. I'll have to get a close nipple to put in here, right down there. Bring that filter back another, I might be able to get another inch out of it or so. That should make a longer distance here, and I should be able to get a better curve out of that hose. I don't like that the way it is. Yep, there it is. Log splitter modifications. Look like they're pretty much done. Been a fun project. Got the return stopper on there, right here. This mechanism, which works good. Got the repowered unit, new engine from Predator. We'll see how that holds up. Got a new breather on there. I think everything turned out good. Log cradle. Added some extra little pieces in here to grip the log when you split it so it doesn't deflect if the end is cut at an angle. And then I've got my log marker on here so I know if it's smaller than 15 inches, it goes in the reject bin. If it's longer than 17 inches, I'll trim it off. And it makes things a lot easier and better for stacking. All right, on to the next project.